malaria parasites are so clever. They keep changing the cerebral malaria. Like in a day you can die after malaria infection. And if we understand them better, we may target them better. I am from the middle part of Turkey, called Anatolia, middle west part, the city called Eskişehir. When I was a child, I didn't know so much about being a scientist, but I wanted to be a medical doctor, and I want to go my medical school in Ankara, Hacettepe University, because education was in English. I want to study English also, to go abroad, to widen my world. So I left my home when I was 17 years old. When I wanted to be a scientist, actually when I went to US, I went to NIH and FDA, which was same campus at that time. So by luck, I was in the middle of a great science and scientists. So that really affected me so much. So that was unexpectedly wonderful environment for me. Like I never even imagined before going. And then after that, I moved to Johns Hopkins University. That place was also a wonderful environment for me to understand the science and then what is being scientist. And I really enjoyed all the interaction and learning. And why we came to Japan is because of science. Shizuo Akira sensei in Osaka University. So 20 years ago, he generated all these knockout mice for doing immunology research. And at that time, it was so difficult to move those mice to US. So we said, okay, let's go. Maybe 3 to 5 years, but we stayed because our research went so well. So we couldn't go back. I would say by luck, I chose the malaria. I met the malaria research in Johns Hopkins. So I was using actually the vaccine technology, which was the DNA vaccine technology. And then tool was malaria. But when I came to Osaka University, Akira sensei told me that like we need someone working on infectious diseases, and he looked at my publications. Why don't you work on malaria? He told me, and then I was like, I'm a vaccinologist, but maybe I can try. But I was so lucky because our next lab was Professor Hori doing malaria vaccine in Burkina Faso and Uganda. So I knocked his door. Can I use your facility and malaria research tools? He said, just go ahead. So I was so lucky to be in the same floor, and then 2 professors are just open for any kind of research material. So I did all the research by myself, and I really enjoyed. Malaria parasites are quite interesting parasites actually. They are different than bacteria or viruses because they live together with us. So that's why they are called parasites. So they sense whatever we have, and then they change. They immediately change to survive with us. So that's why it is very interesting to work with these parasites. I find them very clever. And also, as an immunologist, when we try to understand these parasites, how they make us sick, is very interesting. The other benefit to work with malaria is I feel good in my research. Whatever I do, I find something. I know it is helpful for some lives in the world. All the world, Africa continent and Southeast Asia, there are tons of people suffering from this disease, and 500,000 people die So most of them are children, less than 5 years old, and also the pregnant women, young people die from malaria. The cerebral malaria, like in a day you can die from after malaria infection, very serious, and we don't have any drug or treatment for those kids. In the young age, it is you have high fever, hyperparasitemia from infection. But once you get older, actually people do not feel that sick. You may survive from malaria, but you still live in the endemic regions. You keep getting mosquito bites, and then there is unforeseen complications, such as, like in our research, we found that by using mouse models, we found that actually malaria infection can even cause osteoporosis, bone loss. We are trying to look at all this disease phenomenon, both acute and chronic complications, but we are also trying to understand how their immune system will respond to these parasites. We get malaria through mosquito bite, and then they go to the liver, and from liver they go to the erythrocytes, like human blood. We all think that the erythrocytes is like for them to hiding place, that immune system cannot recognize them. Our B cells, T cells cannot recognize them, and then they can grow inside those erythrocytes. And this is what we believe. Textbook information, like from the university times, we learn. But now in my lab we are questioning, is that the case? My lab is focusing on more like why they use these mechanisms, and then why they keep changing their life cycles, and then where we can target these parasites, and then where is the place that the weak place, like they cannot change themselves. So we are trying to find and then target those parts, and if we understand them better, we may target them better. These parasites, when they go to the bone marrow, what they do there, like which kind of cells they interact, and how does this affect the B cells and T cells, and how do they interact, and are they good having those little parasites in the bone marrow? Are they good for other vaccines? But if you have a malaria, for example, before those vaccines or after those vaccines, how this affect our response to vaccinations, other vaccinations, not only for malaria vaccines. So we are all trying to understand this very new, actually, and very unknown area of research. Being involved in this UTOPIA project is very exciting for me, because many great scientists from different fields gathered in this project. So we are all trying to have more collaborations between different professors who have different expertise to combine and make better understanding and vaccines or drugs against this changing world and then changing pathogens. So the 100-day mission is very ambitious, but we need to be ambitious to make a good vaccine and fast vaccine and then saving the lives. Maybe very ambitious, but we need the ambition to work harder and better research. The ideal vaccine, what we are trying to understand in the lab, is how we can make it just one-time vaccine. Once or twice immunization and no malaria, no infection. This is ideal for the coronavirus, influenza, and malaria. So we have a lot to do as a scientist. So that makes really interesting. But that's why UTOPIA like programs are very important to get continuous funding and research environment and discussion and all the facilities for us to work and find the successful vaccines. This global warming and the world is suffering from all this disasters. One of them is actually malaria, because many countries has the mosquito which carries the malaria, for example, or dengue virus, or many other viruses. Like a month ago, Florida had a local malaria cases. We never know. Mosquito carrying the plasmodium is now behaving completely different. But the malaria, the mosquitoes will bite you in the much more forest environment, and in the nighttime you will be bitten by the malaria mosquitoes carrying the malaria. But they were showing that this mosquito is strangely behaving. Like they can bite you anytime, and they can transfer malaria anytime, or they start habitat with other viruses. So it's very scary. If we don't do research on them, we will never understand. Once the parasites transmitted from this country to that country, then we need to be ready for future pandemic by the parasites. And also, it is not only our country or where we live. We have to think whole world as a one, because if you cannot finish the malaria or dengue virus in Africa, it will go to other countries. So we need to think world as a one world, and then even one health, including animals. So we need much better and global approach for targeting this 100-day mission, starting from little lab, but we have to think more global, all the world, and all creatures living in this world, including humans and animals, actually. To continuing research, not only research, but the continuing same occupation requires a lot of resilience. So because a lot of hurdles, you have to make a team, you have to deal with the human beings, you have to deal with the bureaucracy, everything. So those are to be strong against those obstacles. We need to be resilient, strong. This scientific curiosity here is the most important thing. That's the fun part of being scientist, always keeping yourself open to new information, new knowledge, always thinking, and I really enjoy it, especially to young people. I tell them to be enthusiastic for anything they do. For science, definitely you need enthusiasm, but whatever you do as a job, you need to be enthusiastic what you do. You need to love that job that you are doing. The big things comes with the enthusiasm. I love that. So because I always think this way. I do every day what I like. So that's very important.